Good morning. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to Friday's Relaxed Morning Call. Here we are, solo, last day of the week. It's been, a pretty slow, grinding week. About a week ago, we had the big jobs number. It was an exciting open, and that igniting move and that gap wound up giving us enough power to give us follow through throughout the last 3-4 days with a lot of activity across all the different sectors. You take a quick look at the chart of the spiders here, you will see this was the gap up, after the jobs number, and then we've been slowly grinding higher until yesterday, finally, a red day. So with that being said, typically we haven't had many red days in a row, so as far as support, you could write down yesterday's low, 162.47, and then you do have yesterday's high here if you want to write down 163.70. So the question is, will we get some type of inside day right here? Or do we perhaps may go below yesterday's low and retest the 8-day, or maybe even test the gap? But as of right now, lots of nice activity. We do have Big Ben speaking at 9:30, and I think people realizing that yesterday is what created a little volatility. But who knows? So let's listen to what he has to say. I'm sure he might not do anything drastic. It would be nice, actually, if he went from 85 billion and said he's going to, scale it back maybe to 40 billion or something, where, we have some type of volatility back in so we could trade and you can get some kind of corrective activity versus, this slow grind. But really, it's been the indices that are slowly grinding, but stocks, have been rotating and on the move. So let's just run through some tech names just to see if there's any kind of opportunity. First, start with Apple. A really nice move so far since earnings. We've talked about this move above 419, 420 that happened a few days after the earnings, and then you had a tradable move which took back the 50-day. Now we're flagging again. For me, I am flat Apple, and I'm going to see if I don't know what they're going to want to do with maybe the weekly options. Maybe they try and pin it at 460. That would be nice. But overall, a little bit more sideways action, and this chart to me, seems like it might want to take out this 463 to 465 at some point to at least test this area, which is 484, and then perhaps over the summer the 200-day. But as of right now, the action has changed somewhat. If it were to break below 451 and fail, then we could be back to the same old Apple. But as of now, it's kind of similar to this, where you had your move, and then it should never have really broken back below this level here. And when it did, that's when it went back to corrective time for Apple. So let's see if this one is different. It feels it. Google yesterday finally had a down day. Just to be quick, it's had an enormous run. Buy price on Google was in this descending channel that we talked about, right around this 803-ish area. Since then, it's been very tradable. Yesterday, you finally had a little bit of a red dog reversal, so it's up a few dollars pre-market, I would say, for Google. If you want to try and be cute, if it were to take out 868.23, perhaps you see a little bit more of a move lower. So that would be your active cash flow trade. SINA, we've been targeting it for a while in the Chinese stock land. Today, Goldman Sachs upgraded it. I've been talking about this buy price through 58.35. It's opening above it. That's the way it goes. This is your next resistance. If the gap wants to be sustained, I would look at that today. BIDU, on its 5th up day, I wouldn't be so excited about that setup. As far as Netflix, guys had a decent entry yesterday on the Disney news. Broke above our price point that we talked about around 210. Closed well. Perhaps with a little bit of sideways action, we can get another trade there. Next buy price would be if it takes out yesterday's high of 218.88, which is also pretty big resistance, so it should need some volume if that's going to happen there. As far as eBay, guys been looking at that a little bit. Traded above its intermediate little trend line here, and then tailed to close this gap. So I don't think there's anything really quickly there. Real quickly to touch on the banks. Bank of America, we've been riding and talking about for a while. This was earlier in the week, that 1241 buy, extension through prior resistance, and then it's been hovering above 13, I think, with a little bit more time, and I think it could be accumulated for another move. JP Morgan also gave us some cash flow, and so did Goldman at this point. Let's see how JP comes in, and it would be nice to see it hold above these moving averages and then perhaps go again. It's not leading the banks, but remember we talked about this as your buy price, 3 up days. So 1 down day is not so bad. Use yesterday's low as your pivot, which is 48.92. Gold, we talked about the intermediate range yesterday. It did close somewhat weak, and I know it's been tricky to try and time, but it did close weak. It's opening lower. It's below this 139.37 pivot, so if you took it home for follow through to the downside yesterday, congratulations, you're getting a little paid. You do have a gap that gets filled down to 138.55, which I think it already saw pre-market. So I would say the longer now it stays below this 139.35, the higher the probability it tries to get back down to these lower prices. You know, the macro chart on this that we've talked about, you know, broke almost, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago right here. And then you had your move lower, your bounce back, and then wasn't sure whether it would retest the 50-day or break below. And as of right now, it looks like, you know, that could have been your bounce. And then really there's not that much to go over except for the fact that everyone's trying to figure out what's next. How do you make money day in, day out, or how do you stay with your positions you like as we've been trending higher and everyone's saying that, you know, we're now in a search for yield bubble, which I don't think is the case. Yes, do I think we're overbought? And yes, would it be nice to retest, you know, that gap area that we broke out from last week? You know, if the market wants to do it, it will. But at this point, you know, we're trading in the environment we're in. You don't have to overtrade. If you missed out on moves, don't go looking to chase it or don't go looking to revenge it, because that'll get you in more trouble. You know, today, again, will be interesting. You look at the chart of the spiders from November all the way up to here. Yes, it's been quite a run. But again, the macro trend has been tested once. The 50-day moving average has only been tested once. So technically, there's been a lot to like if you follow technicals. If you're a fundamental economist, maybe you might have thought differently, or if you tried to overthink things. But anyway, for me, this is what I'm looking at. Yesterday's low. Can we stay above it, go sideways? If we do, we go higher. If we take out yesterday's low and close below it, then maybe we get the 8-day, then we maybe test a gap, and at some point the 21-day moves up. So with that said, I think I have 5 or 6 longs and a short. I'm not that excited. I don't see many ace setups, but during the course of the day, things do develop. And I think the most important thing you have to realize is where you live and what time frame you trade, and you know, live by those time frames. If you want to try and become a hybrid and have a macro account, and a swing account, and a day trading account, a lot of people do that, and that's a way to go about it, but you got to make sure you can handle it and you're not doing more things than you think you can handle, because then you're going to be trapped in between worlds, and that's the last thing you want to be. And as far as performance anxiety, I see it everywhere across the street. So you're not alone. If you see, you know, market at highs and you think you should be making all this money, even being bullish, because a lot of bullish people are trying to trade from the long side still, you know, don't feel like they're killing it. You know, that's the way it's been, and it hasn't been the easiest environment. If you're a bear and you missed some adjustment opportunities at the pivots and you were stubborn, make sure that that doesn't continue, because it's only May. So with all that said, let's see what Big Ben has to say at 9:30. Tune into the virtual trade floor. You know, we'll be trying to talk everybody through it. You know, we have a radio that you could listen to, which a lot of people on Twitter, if you're watching this, you're like, oh, sometimes I don't hear everything, because, you know, we do have a virtual trade floor where you could see our positions come on, leave. You could hear various content providers on a radio talking from 9:30 till 11, trying to tell you what we're seeing as far as relative strength, relative weakness, stocks going through price points. So there's a lot more to the story than, you know, the time that we get to try and, you know, get things out into the Twitter sphere to help everyone along as well, which we do you know, value very highly as well. So with that said, have a great Friday. Don't do too much. It's beautiful out. You know, see if you can make some money, and then call it an early weekend. Have a great day.
I'm Evan Lazarus, Chief Knowledge Officer for T3Live.com. You don't become a great trader by watching videos and taking courses. You become a great trader through live screen time. Accelerate that learning curve by tapping into the experience of seasoned professionals. Currently, we're offering 5-day free trials to each of our 4 mentoring rooms. In the mentoring rooms, we teach our strategies in the context of the live market. To sign up for a free trial, go to the T3 Live education page, fill out the form, and get started when the next trading session begins. We hope to see you in one of our mentoring rooms.